you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please state your full name?
And Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Do you maintain any other residences presently?
I have vacation homes in New Mexico, Palm Beach, New York, and Paris.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
What was the crime of which you were convicted?
Two counts, one soliciting prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution.
For years, the crimes of one man were an open secret. People knew or suspected what he was doing, but no one took action. So how did he stay free for so long? Can one person reveal how unequal the justice system is? This is not only the story of a man, but also the story of how the system chose to look the other way. He started just as a math and physics teacher at Dalton School, but it all changed one day when a father of one of his students got him an interview with Alan Greenberg and was hired by Bear Stearns. From here, he quickly became a powerful financier. Over the time, he made much of his fortune working with billionaires. This not only made him extremely wealthy, but also allowed him to enter the elite society. Apparently, in some cases, the faster you climb, the less rules apply, in which later he will use his connections to evade the consequences. Wealth did not just give him a luxury life, it made him untouchable. But what did Jeffrey do? It all started in 2005 in Palm Beach, Florida, when police received a report from some parents saying that Epstein paid $300 to his 14-year-old daughters to strip and message him at the Epstein's mansion. An investigation was opened and they identified 36 girls between 14 and 17 years old who were sexually abused by this man. It was not a one-time case.
You pled guilty to 2 felonies, is that correct?
Same objection. Yes.
And what were those felonies that you pled guilty to?
Solicitation of prostitutes. Not underage prostitutes, but simply prostitutes. Solicitation of prostitutes, and 1 count of procuring a minor for underage sex.
The case went to court, and finally in 2008 he was sentenced to just 18 months of prison after pleading guilty to a single state charge of soliciting a minor for prostitution. Epstein avoided major punishment for his crimes due to a deal his lawyers worked out with the then district attorney in Miami, Alexander Acosta. Acosta later became President Trump's labor secretary, overseeing agencies responsible for combating human trafficking. Epstein pled guilty to 2 felony charges in state court, and in exchange, he and his associates received immunity from federal sex trafficking charges, while the investigation was hiding his crimes from the public and other victims. He also had a powerful legal team including Alan Dershowitz and Kenneth Starr, which helped secure these outcomes. And Epstein's privileges didn't stop with his sentencing. Unlike other convicted sex offenders in Florida, he was not sent to state prison, but instead placed in a private wing of the Palm Beach County Jail. He was even granted working release privileges, allowing him to leave the jail 6 days a week, for up to 12 hours a day. This deal became one of the clearest examples of how power and influence can shape justice. This wasn't over. After serving his sentence, he returned to his wealthy luxury life, but he did not stop the abuses. He became even worse. He operated a carefully designed system to recruit, manipulate, and exploit over 1,000 women and girls for 2 decades. It all occurs at his private island, Little St. James, or mostly known as Epstein Island. Epstein did not act randomly. He created a structured system of exploitation where victims were recruited through other victims, often using money and manipulation. This turned abuse into a self-sustaining network that was difficult to detect and even harder to stop. You must be thinking, how could he continue for so long? Was the system blind or just looking the other way on purpose? Epstein secretly negotiated with prosecutors. He did not defend himself, but also the ones who were involved. Victims were mostly teenagers without resources to speak out loud of what was going on, and many of the famous victims were scared of what he could do, his power and influence. It was not the justice system that finally exposed the truth, but investigations journalists. Reporter Julie K. Brown uncovered the failures of the system, giving a voice to the victims. Epstein's case shows that justice is not always equal. When money and power are involved, the system can fail the most vulnerable. This is not just about one man, but about a system that allowed him to exist. However, in 2019, he came down. He was in a situation where escape was almost impossible. Unlike in 2008, this time he was facing federal charges for sex trafficking, which meant a much stricter legal process and a far greater public attention. He was held in a high-security federal facility in New York, under constant supervision, with limited movement and no special privileges like before. His wealth and connections could no longer protect him in the same way, as the case had become international news and was being closely watched by the public and the media. Authorities also considered him a high-risk detainee, meaning security measures were tighter and any possibility of leaving the facility legally or illegally was extremely strict. In this context, the system that had once allowed him to avoid consequences was no longer able to offer him a way out. In the same year, Jeffrey Epstein died in jail, with the official ruling stating that he died by suicide. However, this immediately opened a major debate since he was supposedly under constant surveillance, yet on the exact night of his death, the cameras were not working. After his death, instead of closing the case, even more information began to surface. New documents and testimonies suggest that his network was far more extensive than previously known, reaching powerful elites around the world. Some claims and speculations even point to war figures linked to institutions such as the Vatican, although no direct involvement has ever been proven. His death did not end the search for the truth. Instead, it raised even more questions about how much was hidden and how else maybe have been protected. In the end, Jeffrey Epstein did not avoid justice for so long because he was invisible, but because he was protected by wealth, by influence, and by a system that repeatedly chose convince over accountability. His case exposes a deeper truth. Justice is not only about laws, but about how those laws are applied to, and how far power can be in them. For years, victims were ignored, silenced, or dismissed, while those with status were given second chances, neither sentences and opportunities to hide the truth. It took courage from survivors and persistence from journalists to finally break that cycle. This story is not just a failure of one moment, but a pattern of decisions that allow abuse to continue. If there is any meaning to be taken from it, it is this: a justice system that treats people differently based on power is not truly justice at all, and unless that imbalance is confirmed, cases like this are not just possible but inevitable.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody
devil's
knows
what?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.